Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we have a pretty fun video planned. We're going to be giving characters in the Metal series new special moves. The idea here was to keep these special moves in line with the character's pre-existing theme and moveset. So in other words, we wanted to make these moves feel like they could have been added to the anime. And I think we were able to come up with some pretty interesting moves, so let me know what you think at the end of this video. And if you have any good ideas that I didn't cover, comment them down below and maybe we could do a part 2. But without further ado, we're just going to jump in. So kicking things off, we have Dynamis. We only ever saw one special move out of him, and that's kind of a shame. His Zeus avatar is one of the coolest in all of Beyblade for me, so I would have loved to see some more moves out of him. But now, as a potential new special move, here's what I came up with. Maybe this is kind of cheating, but I'm going to call this move the Gate to Olympus, and basically it's going to work pretty much the same as Damien's Gate to Hades. When Dynamis opens the Gate to Olympus, a huge golden gate falls down from the sky into the stadium, it opens up and slowly draws you in. And then before you know it, this battle is now taking place within Olympus, and Dynamis sort of has control over everything that goes on here, kind of like Damien did with Hades, and it's essentially his own domain expansion. I think this move would be pretty cool to see. It's a very cool contrast to Damien's move, and overall it would have made Dynamis' battle style and his moveset far more interesting. Now, another way you could have gone with Dynamis in terms of a new special move is giving him some sort of a Jupiter-themed special move. I know he already has that thing going on with the ball bearings and the Galilean moons, and that's really cool, but here we would give him a legit special move based off of Jupiter, call it like Planetary Storm or something like that, and have Jupiter appear in the sky, and then you know how Jupiter has that big red spot, which is like a storm. Basically have that storm rain down on the stadium and do a bunch of damage. I think something like that could be really cool. But let me know, what do y'all prefer for Dynamis? Would you rather him have another Zeus-themed special move, or would you prefer to go in the direction of a Jupiter-style special move? But now we're going to move on to Kyoya. I decided to stick with the tornado theme, of course, although for Kyoya you could have done like an interesting lion-type special move, but I went with the tornado. So I'm calling this move Rain Dance. And basically when Kyoya launches this move, a giant tornado, like I'm talking huge, spirals up into the sky. It's super windy. It's such a powerful tornado to the point where in the sky, a little storm forms. So then we get some rain, we get a bit of lightning and thunder, and you could have the water from the rain like strengthen the tornado or something like that, hence the name Rain Dance. Or on the opposite side of the coin, you could do something like a fire tornado. I don't know how Leon would actually make fire. I know some Beyblades can do it in the anime, but basically this move would sort of represent wildfires, and I'm sure somewhere in the world there is a tornado which has crossed paths with a wildfire and made like a fire tornado. So I think this would be a really cool move for Kyoya, but let me know which one you guys prefer once again. But now we're going to move on to Ryutaro. I've said a few times now on the channel that I think Ryutaro is a very interesting character, pretty underrated, and he could have been used for a lot more in the story. Now, for his moveset, he's got a very particular style. He warps reality and essentially creates his own domain. It's a bunch of mind tricks, but for his new special move, I'm actually going in a completely different direction. Pisces clearly has a shark on its face bolt, so let's give Ryutaro a shark avatar. Now, we know the move is going to be centered around something shark related, but what exactly could we do here? Well, we could take some inspiration from Sophie in Wales and create a move which basically floods the arena, and then you get the big shark avatar, sort of like how you get the two whales in the Grand Deucalion. But for the sake of making these moves feel not so similar, I came up with something else. Picture this. Pisces soars up to the top of the stadium, sort of like Leon getting ready to do the King Lion reverse wind strike. So basically it gets all the way up there, it turns around so its face bolt is facing the stadium, and then just have it pour down water. This would effectively flood the stadium, and Pisces would eventually go back down, and then whatever Beyblade is unlucky enough to get caught in this move begins to float to the surface of the water, and then we see Pisces, the Beyblade, transform into a shark avatar and deliver a devastating attack from below, basically Jaws style. Now that could be a little overpowered, so I do have somewhat of an alternative. For all the real ones out there who've seen Naruto, I took some inspiration from Kisame. He has a bunch of water style ninjutsu and shark themed attacks, but specifically he's got something called the shark bomb, or the water shark bullet, I think. But basically a bunch of water forms together to create the outline of a shark, and it delivers a pretty devastating attack. So this is something that we could also do for Ryutaro. a similar move to that. Let me know which one you prefer. I think I do like the first one. It's pretty creative and it would be very cool to see in the anime, but at the same time it does seem pretty overpowered. And then you got to consider the logistics of it. Like, technically this move could flood the entire arena, so we'd have to conveniently say that all of the water is solely directed towards the stadium only. But still, this move may be a little too much. Let me know what you guys think, of course. But now we're going to move on to talk about Toby. Toby is a pretty interesting case. He had the Spiral Dimension move when he had Twisted Tempo, and then with Spiral Lyra, he had String Slash as a special move. For the sake of this video, we are talking about Toby from Metal Fury, so with Spiral Lyra. String Slash was kind of just a generic special move. I mean, we didn't really have a ton of time to focus on Toby or Zeo in Metal Fury, so even though they both got new Beyblades, we just had to give them these super generic special moves. But anyways, here's what I have in mind for Toby. First things first, we give him an avatar, and his Beyblade actually has a lot of potential for some pretty cool lore. First of all, the Beyblade Spiral Lyra is based off of a constellation called Lyra, which is made to resemble a harp. Maybe you guys already knew that, but it goes further. The harp doesn't just belong to anyone, it belongs to Orpheus, who is a pretty prominent figure in Greek mythology. Although Orpheus is not a Greek god, he's said to be a hero in Greek mythology. He was a legendary musician and a poet, and he was known for playing the harp. And quick side note, halfway into writing this, I just realized that the instrument that Orpheus uses is actually not considered a harp, it's considered a lyre. Apparently they are very similar, but not the same thing. Any musicians watching, maybe you could let us know, but I'll probably just keep referring to it as a harp because it's easier. But yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a story where Orpheus somehow finds himself in Hades, and he's face to face with Cerberus, who, if y'all don't know, is the three-headed guard dog to Hades, which Damien's Bay is based off of. Orpheus then starts playing the harp, or I guess the lyre, and he's playing it so beautifully, so exquisitely, that he actually tames Cerberus. Now, I don't know how legit that story is within Greek mythology. I sort of just found it online, but I gotta say that's pretty cool. Anyways, that was a pretty long tangent. Now let's get back to Toby's new special move. His avatar is going to be Orpheus with his harp, and there's a few cool ideas you could use from here. I think my favorite one is to have Orpheus start playing the harp, and it's such a beautiful melody that any Beyblade caught in the move sort of loses control and begins to sway back and forth along with the melody. And then while the opponent's Beyblade is helplessly dancing to the music, Spiral Lyra can deliver the final blow. That's an option, or you could do a move where Orpheus plays the harp, but instead of captivating the Beyblades into basically dancing, this one would simply shoot out music notes from the harp as sort of projectiles that would then hit the Beyblades and deal physical damage. So basically think of when Nile opens the eyes of Horusius, how he was sort of just shooting out like blasts of air, or even think of Yu's Sonic Blast where it was shooting out little projectiles, basically something like that, but it would be shooting out music notes. I think that would be pretty cool. As for some names for the move, I was thinking of Hymn of Orpheus, but like him, not him. Or you could do something with melody or symphony, like the Symphony of Orpheus, that's a good one. Or maybe the Melody of Orpheus. You know, if you have any ideas, let me know, but regardless, there's so much potential here, and honestly, it makes me sad to think that the show didn't even tap into a fraction of all the potential that was waiting here. Like, we could have gotten a super cool moveset based off of music, essentially, but due to lack of importance for Toby in Season 3, and probably just lack of time in Season 3, we had to settle for a pretty generic special move, all things considered. But yeah, guys, that's all I have for now. Once again, let me know if you have any ideas for certain characters, or maybe if you have cooler ideas than what I came up with for these characters, be sure to let me know. If we get some cool ideas, which maybe I'll think of a few more, maybe we could do a part 2 where I feature some of your ideas, sort of like how I feature your hot takes in the hot take series. But that all depends, of course. Let me know any other video ideas you want to see, or types of videos you want to see here on the channel. If you want to see more YouTube shorts, let me know. I have been pretty inconsistent with the upload schedule as of late. School got pretty busy towards the end of the semester, but I'm out now, so I'm going to try to find a bit more of a consistent upload schedule, so we will see how that goes. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting. Thank you for all of it. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.